r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. What are some of the most toxic or potentially dangerous ideas, beliefs that have been perpetuated by Redditors? Absolutely hating on those that deviate from the norm. Hating on people that conform to society's norms but not Reddit's norms. Hating on people trying to have fun or hobbies. We did it. Reddit. We destroyed EA and found the Boston Marathon bomber. Witch hunts and doxing are okay if the average Reddit user doesn't like the target. Vigilante justice is cool as. Glorification of selfishness. I get the impression a ton of people on this site have difficulty asserting themselves, or recognizing or setting their own boundaries, because Reddit is full of advice geared toward people with these problems. What these posters seem to forget is that not everyone is codependent with self-esteem through the floor. And yet anytime anyone wants to get out of something that someone else wants them to do, Reddit leaps to no is a complete sentence. Put yourself first. Don't jade. In real life though, maintaining healthy relationships requires sometimes doing things you aren't thrilled about for others' sake. Sometimes I think I'm here to feel well adjusted. Reddit is very much guilty until proven innocent. They will jump straight down the throat of any alleged criminal with zero facts, zero context, and demand they be sentences to years behind bars. Or worse. Hell, they don't even care if it's the right guy. Just that somebody be punished. Remember when Reddit found the Boston bomber and the guy ended up killing himself? I've been downvoted to hell for the simple comment along the lines of, maybe we should wait for all the evidence to come out. We don't know the whole story. Reddit is absolutely bloodthirsty. Not to mention all the own-upsmanship that always seems to happen as everyone tries to seem more morally absolute than everyone else. He deserves to be fed to wild dogs. That's too kind. He deserves to be castrated first. No. It'll be over too quickly. We need to skin him with a rusty cheese grater. He might bleed out. We need to dip him into a vat of sulfuric acid feet first. He might pass out from the shock. We need to have him get raped by a bear and shoot 5,000 volts through his nipples before sticking a glass vial full of Ebola blood up his urethra and breaking it. Reddit has a tendency to label people toxic and encourage relationship advice that isn't great. People don't come here looking for advice. They come here for affirmation. Worshipping celebrities. 10-year-olds don't need to receive death threats because he's never heard of a 55-year-old actor. Edit. I really didn't think I had to say this. But the kid didn't use Reddit. Redditors still banded together to harass and threaten him. He didn't violate the 13+ rule. Not that that matters. Because you shouldn't send death threats to 10-year-olds. 13-year-olds. Or adults for that matter. Can't believe that needed to be said. Hey Reddit, why do you like Keanu so much? Because of how nice he is? Why don't you follow his example? Think about the subjects that you have an immense amount of knowledge about. Maybe you've spent your whole life studying it. Now think about all the times you've seen a well-written comment on Reddit with thousands of upvotes that is completely and verifiably wrong. Now think about all the subjects you know nothing about. And all the times you've learned something from a well-written comment with thousands of upvotes. I laugh about this with friends. 98% of the medical discussion I read here is at least partially incorrect. And oftentimes grossly incorrect, though gets a swarm of upvotes. Despite me knowing this, everything I read about audio gear and PC topics I treat as gospel if it has a lot of upvotes. Those people who make introversion out to be an excuse for some pretty terrible antisocial, misanthropic, unacceptable behavior. I don't like loud spaces and can feel overwhelmed by crowds of people. I would pay not to go to a concert. I also genuinely love the people in my life and will always make time for anyone who needs me. In my experience, this is true for everyone, extroverts and introverts alike. To an extent, Reddit plays a role in the growing anti-intellectualism. There seems to be a large assumption that this is a website of experts and lengthy replies must be credible. I saw a fellow Redditor describe it perfectly. You finally realize how little most Redditors know when they start talking about a topic you happen to be well researched in. I see this in two places primarily. Topics about public education. I am a middle school teacher, and topics such as anti-vaccine. I understand Reddit hates anti-vax for good reason. But it is also stuck in the old anti-vaxxers are just stupid stereotype. Instead of educating and helping the problem, they just poke fun. This unfortunately drives more anxious parents toward anti-vax communities. A little empathy, understanding, and education would do more to combat ideologies such as anti-vaccines than anything Reddit actually does. To an extent, Reddit plays a role in the growing anti-intellectualism. What's really stood out to me lately is how much a picture with text has superseded even news articles. You know, the large simple black font on a white background with a photo beneath it, which seems to be increasingly the weapon of choice for many submission formats. But for news articles, it's reductionist to the max and absolutely insane that anybody would consider it to be a replacement or accept almost no information with absolutely no context, additional context, or verification. And yet, they do. More so than ever. The acceptance of information without evidence on Reddit is absolutely breathtaking to me. The necessity of skepticism is hardly a new concept. Plenty of people here have had social media networks around for their entire lives. Yet it's as if everybody is still working out how viral information consumption works. Love yourself before you love someone else. While the intention is good, some people take that a little bit too far. Having a disability is something to accept. This should however not mean that necessary or oral surgeries should not be done. I have seen a lot of blowback when someone says, "I struggle with this disability," and the next person says, "Oh, my relative had that same thing. And they had this relatively inexpensive and low effort thing done and now they're living a fuller life." How dare you say she's not living a full life? You're not disabled. You don't know the blah blah blah. Who are you to say she has to have surgery to correct her disability? That disability is part of her life. You can't tell someone how to live their life because they don't meet your standards. Double quote. Etc. Everyone is an armchair psychologist. You post about feeling sad sometimes and inevitably someone is like that's because you have atypical depression and bipolar disorder or whatever. Or if someone is having a fairly normal relationship issue, their partner is labeled a narcissist, sociopath, or a borderline or something. One example of this, a medical doctor posts a well-written comment about the dangers of overprescribing antibiotics. Top comment of the thread. Tons of awards. Later a second-year med student posts a similar comment. Still well written but maybe misses a few key points specifying how and why. Again, top comment of the thread. Gilded to the nines. Later a college freshman bio major writes a pretty bad summary of the situation, but it's part of the Reddit Hivemind echo chamber, so anyone who bothers to correct him gets misinterpreted and downvoted. And so on until someone literally tells them they read on Reddit that taking antibiotics is dangerous and will lead to a super disease that will wipe out humanity. Come on Reddit. Lol, it's just like the telephone game. Stereotyping, in general, seems rampant. Many comments and posts seem to believe that individuals are incapable of independent thought and just reflect the race, religion, gender/ethnicity, group, nationality, political party, subreddit culture they belong to. People are varied even within ideologies. Argue points and issues, not identities. You'll read comments and think, "Whoa, these people know so much about this topic." But then a topic will come up that you have expertise in. And you'll realize that people on this site just pull answers out of their ass with confidence. Also, after enough time here you'll start to realize the average demo is on the young side and has very little life experience. Keep that in mind when you scroll through the comments. There's so much stuff that could be debunked with a simple web search. r/am/i/the-i-hole used to be a great place where you could get an honest opinion on whether or not an action you took makes you an a-hole. Sometimes you still might get an honest comment or two. But the amount of times where I've seen it, responses get removed or downvoted to oblivion, while others are screaming NTA. They shouldn't have been slightly mean to you if they didn't want to get murdered. Exaggeration, but I'm shocked half the time I'll look at the comments. Edit. Some hours after this comment this beauty got posted. Reddit.com link/am/i/the-i-hole comments E30WJ8/hater for telling my pregnant FWB's gonna have UTM source equals share and UTM medium equals IOSAP and UTM name equals IRSMF. Basically a bunch of kids telling an irresponsible homeless person who probably made a child with another adult that it's too bad. I'm not being a father. Overwhelming NTA. That sub is weird because being an a-hole has almost nothing to do with whether you're right or wrong. Yet people in that sub act like if you're in the right, you're not an a-hole. Sorry, but you can be an a-hole and be in the right. The general belief that how an idea is presented is more important than what is being said. I can't count the number of times I've seen bullshit conjecture with clean grammar get upvoted past someone who actually knows what the duck they're talking about from direct experience but can't spell for shite. That's not a Reddit thing. That's a life thing. Too many people unknowing assimilate into the Hivemind. Like, if you start to agree with all the most upvoted posts every day, and get angry upset when someone makes a valid point against what is clearly correct, to Reddit, it's time to back away slowly. Reddit has a particularly toxic pattern where the first few votes basically decide a post's fate. Because most of the users behave like they somehow want to be on the winning side. If something is popular already, they add an upvote. If something is already downvoted, they add a downvote. It's why bots that either upvote or downvote posts by 5 votes work so very well on Reddit. The Boston Marathon bomber. Reddit started a whole shitstorm by identifying a missing person as one of the bombers. Sunil Tripathi was the innocent person that got mistaken for one of the bombers. There was a lot of fallout and users tracking down family members, friends, and even high-profile news people sending out messages that it could be the bomber. BBC Co UK link. There was an episode on Newsroom about this. Well, Jeff Daniels even had a small rant about social media and Reddit in particular. Edit. For anyone interested, here's the link. If you are a mod and you don't agree with something, you can ban them. I'm banned in r/ifmitchist and I've never even posted there. That people who use Reddit are somehow superior or more in the know about things than people who don't. Cringe Instagram normies stealing all our memes as the next 90 posts are all screen caps of Twitter posts or memes originating from 4chan. Failure to acknowledge any nuance or grey areas. People feel the need to go all in on one side for any issue. I think they feel they'll look weak or hurt their argument by relenting on any point. Or having a discussion on any point. If your partner does anything at all that you dislike, you should dump them. Take them to the police. Avoid all other partners in the future. etc etc. Particularly prevalent in relationships. Relationship advice. Amithy-hole and even just Askreddit itself. It's rather appalling. And it seems to be pushed by people who have no idea what being in a relationship is actually like. It's not ducking easy basically. You want to love something and be in a completely committed relationship? Prepare to fight for it. Because it is not easy. The nuclear option. Reddit's old faithful. Social media bad. Reddit good emoji bad. People really seem to separate Reddit from social media as if it wasn't a social media website. Not having your real name doesn't make it not social media. That the optimal solution to personal relationship issues is to end it. Cut contact and or leave town. Lawyer up. Hit the gym. Sue your parents is pretty much r/personal advice and r/personal finance in a nutshell. That so many Redditors are quick to condemn someone to death over things. For example, if someone driving does something they clearly shouldn't and cause an accident, I hope they died. If they died, good. Duck them. Clean the gene pool. It never occurs to people that maybe some people just shouldn't drive. But they're otherwise just fine as people. Some people here don't think cats can have salami. Cats can have a little salami. That you can't agree to disagree. There are far too many issues, policies, beliefs and lessons that we absorb as human beings. Short of the other person being rude or hateful, Redditors as a whole don't know how to accept another view contrary to theirs. I am so ducking tired of this you mad bro culture that nerds love to spout. Apparently having emotion about something important to you means you immediately lose the argument. And I notice that 9 times out of 10, the person saying you mad bro is the one raging. That and dismissing effort as being triggered. I see this online and in real life. It's okay to be passionate about things. It's okay to put in effort. Glorifying physical violence assault because someone said something disrespectful or mean to someone else. Edit. Never been given an award before. Thank you to the kind person who saw it fit to do so. Hater is terrible for a similar reason. They tell people they're NTA for dramatically escalating situations just because the other person started it from ARP's perspective. That subreddit is largely a way for people to justify childish and really inappropriate behavior. Ducking like and subscribe.